That's the end of my announcements. So we're going to move on now to public forum. Now, up to 30 minutes are available for public forum. Questions and replies were circulated to committee members and were published on the website in advance of the meeting. Each questioner is permitted to ask up to 2 oral supplementary questions in total, if they wish. Supplementary questions must arise directly out of the original question or the reply. So entirely fresh questions on other subjects aren't permitted. Depending on the content of the supplementary questions, it may be necessary for a follow-up reply to be sent to the questioner. Thank you very much. So I'm going to begin by calling members of the public who've asked questions to ask them if you would like to ask any further supplementary questions. So as a reminder, you'll have 2 supplementary questions. Your original question and the reply have been published on the website. So I'm going to begin by calling on Fadimo Farah. Fadimo, do you have any supplementary questions?
I was disappointed that I didn't get the answer of the question that I asked. My question was specifically about whether the emails and other messages would be available for the investigation, for Barton House investigation, as he was the main person who was in charge in the council at that time.
Do you have a supplementary question, Fadimo?
Yes, my question is, do I need to, is those emails and messages will be available for the investigation, the Barton House investigation?
Okay, so I think, so that's kind of a restatement of your original question, isn't it? And I think officers have done their best to answer about that. What I would say, I think, is that the terms of reference of that review haven't yet been set, and that will be something that will be done along with residents. And I would expect that any evidence that's necessary for that review to go forward should be made available to it. So I realise that's not perhaps a kind of the answer to your question that you're looking for, but I really don't know the sort of what specific evidence will be required for that review to take place yet.
Well, he was the one who was in charge in the council. My question was if the investigation, because the emails and messages have been deleted, how are they going to find it? That's the question I want to find out.
I think we might have to go away and consult with colleagues on the answer to that one, because I'm really not sure myself about what the retention policies for the council's email systems and that sort of thing. So I think that would be something that colleagues who aren't currently in this room would have to answer. Fadimo, do you have another supplementary question? I think maybe you've asked one, but first was a restatement of your original question. So if you'd like to ask a further question, please do.
No.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on then to our next question. That's Councillor Christine Townsend. Christine, you had 2 questions on the private rented sector. Do you have supplementary questions that you'd like to ask?
Yes, please. So my first one is in relation to the Hampton Road case. So this landlord pleaded guilty. It was a pattern of behaviour, and the things that this landlord did does relate to conditions on the HMO licence. So I think my question for Chair and Committee is, if a guilty plea from an HMO landlord holder is not enough to trigger a fit and proper person review test, what would be?
Would you like to answer this?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to answer that. This will be one that I'll need to take away. I think on the face of it, the question you ask is quite reasonable, given that there has been a case and someone has pled guilty without knowing the full details of what they pled guilty to. It's difficult for me to offer a review, and Tom Gilchrist, who is our head of service for this area, unfortunately isn't here, but I'm very happy to take this question away and provide a full response to you in terms of what the criteria would be for triggering a fit and proper person review for someone who is currently licensed as a landlord by BCC.
Thank you. Do you have another supplementary question, Christine?
Yeah, my second is in relation to data, really. So I'm not interested in officers going away and putting new data sets together, but what I am interested in is the latest set of data that looks at the number of licences that were applied for. I mean, it might be 12 months or 24 months, whatever. The number of HMO licences that were applied for, the number that were refused at point of application because the fit and proper person test was applied and they failed it, and the number within that same period that this council attempted or succeeded to revoke as a result of the fit and proper person test being applied and that person having shown to be failed by within their practices.
Again, if it's okay, I'm very happy to take that request away and to pull together that data for you and share it.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to. Yeah, thanks. Do I get 3?
Do you have a further question? We haven't got that many questioners today, so I think we can flex a bit.
Okay, so I mean, my third question is again in relation to the fit and proper person test. So there is guidance that the council will use to put that policy together. If it's found that the practices of HMO licensee holders is deemed by this chair and committee to be so egregious that the policy doesn't fit around that, can you call the policy back and tighten it? If you consider that the current policy doesn't serve the public, as we are all here to serve the public and not private landlords.
Thanks, Christine. Sonia, do you want to start, and then
Yes, so
a question for the chair as well, so I'll answer that as well.
very happy to take a look at the policy, and indeed when the policy was drafted, any changes in legislation subsequent to that policy being drafted, or indeed any changes in case law that would require a redraft, I'm very happy to review and take a look at that.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia. And yeah, likewise, I would expect that the policy of this nature would be kept under reasonably frequent review. And so I think if there are lessons to be learned from the case that you've referenced, I think we should make sure that the policy is reviewed in that light. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. So our next public questioner then is Dan Ackroyd. Dan.
Yeah, I've got a supplementary to my question 6. Thanks for pointing me to the appendices. It will take me a while to go through them. My understanding is that the only report that lays out the future work that needs to be done is the risk report with the mitigating actions in it. But it seems that that doesn't contain all of the known work items related to the IT system. How is this committee meant to be informed about the total scale of the work that is needed and so be able to gain insight into how many years it is going to take to fix this mess?
Thank you, Dan. So there is there's a housing IT transformation program board which considers what's required to be done in order to implement the new IT system and make sure that we have the right data systems. I am conscious that board hasn't reported directly to this committee. So that is something that I think we should probably take away and look at getting a report to the committee. Is that something that we'd be able to do in reasonable time, Sonia, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm obviously recently appointed and will be taking over the chair of that board. Given as we're getting so close now to the implementation date of what you rightly acknowledge is a really important piece of work for us, is that we have appointed somebody to bring some external eyes on, just to make sure that all of the areas that need to be covered are covered, to understand any risks in relation to the implementation and our ability to go live and to make a success of the implementation. As implementing large IT systems have been fraught with issues, but actually on the face of it, it would appear that the programme has had a programme board throughout, that the scope of the project is well known, but we are now getting very close to implementation date, and particularly very close to some of our other systems actually going offline. So we are just bringing in that somebody external just to give us that additional assurance. And I feel like actually that would be something that would be helpful to come to this committee to provide assurance externally on the programme itself and our ability to deliver it successfully.
Thank you. Dan, do you have further supplementary?
Yes, I do. I've got a comment that that information should have been at this committee 12 months ago at the very least. And it's a failure that it's taken this long to get to it. A second failure is Ms. Farrow's first question, the answer to her first question. She asked very clearly whether the emails would be available to the inquiry. She did not ask what you thought might be the terms of reference to the inquiry. She has come here today seeking to get an answer. You've just repeated the same evasive answer. Please, can she have a clear answer of whether the emails will be available to an inquiry if they need them?
Thanks, Dan. I think, as I said in my response to Fatima, I don't have that information. I don't know, what emails are retained. So we're going to go away and we're going to find that out.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have a further supplementary? I think we do have a bit more time.
It was along the lines of when you're going to start making sure officers are actually going to start answering questions, but I don't expect a response. So.
Okay, thanks, Dan. We're going to move on then to public forum statements. We've received 5 statements to this meeting, and 2 people have indicated that they would like to speak to them. The first of those is Fatima Farah.
After 2 years of campaign, I've had my first sunny holiday and came back yesterday. I know some officers would like Barton House situation to just go away, but it's not going away until we get the answers that we need. And it's a failure for Bristol City Council, what happened to my community. I'm not saying all the officers are bad. Like, I've worked with Mark Kemp, who has been very good. I'm very rarely to impress some officers. My understanding is that local authorities, including the council, have legal and ethical duty to retain records related to emergency incidents for longer periods than at standard business as usual. Communications is ensured accountability, enable through the reviews and support any future inquiry. Oh, sorry, am I reading the... Okay. Sorry, it's long. I've had a long night, but what I'm saying is we need Barton House investigation to go through honestly, and we need all the emails and messages available for the investigation. Barton House situation is not going away until we get the answers that we need. The officers need to stop undermining Barton House residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima. And our next public statement is from Dan Ackroyd. Dan.
The response to Ms. Farrow's question is evasive and offensive. The question was not how an inquiry is going to be established, it was are the emails going to be available or not. Get a grip on your committee and get an answer. This bit in particular was offensive. This is not, reading from the answer, this is not an inquiry into the working activities of the Mayor of Bristol. Correct. It'd be an inquiry into how this council cocked up an evacuation that led to people being traumatised because of the incompetence of the people involved. Full council was cancelled by 2:30. There was no information at all given to residents until 7 p.m. The evacuation didn't really start until past 8 p.m, past kids' bedtime. What the hell was going on all day? Did anyone in the Mayor's office try to prevent the evacuation from happening? I mean, it was inconvenient, wasn't it? The day of the Mayor's big speech in Kigali, in Rwanda, that he had this evacuation going on. I have reason to suspect that trying to manage an evacuation while hobnobbing into conference is likely to lead to delays in making decisions and communicating with the public. This council needs to hold a proper inquiry and not one set up to sweep things under the rugs, because £10 million was spent that possibly could have been avoided, and because the council inflicted harm through its incompetence. Councillor Parsons, you need to get a grip on your committee. You look like you don't have full control over officers. Just the last bit, shutting down the Housing Management Board and not having a replacement in place until close to 18 months later looks like an absolutely disgusting decision.
Okay, thank you, Dan. That's the end of public